All right, thank you everyone for joining. If you have a question for Coco, please raise your hand. Please state your name and your media outlet before your question, and we'll get started in just a moment. But to get started, Coco, why don't you just talk about how you're feeling competing in your very first BNP Paribas Open?
I'm liking the conditions here, even though it's a little bit hot. Well, today was better, but the previous days I was practicing was hot. But I'm from Florida, so I'm used to it a little bit. But obviously, this is more dry heat than humidity, so I'm just still adjusting to that. But other than that, I like the speed of the courts, and the grounds are obviously super nice.
All right, first up, we'll go to Stephanie Miles.
Hi there, it's Stephanie Miles from Open Court. Coco, it's crazy to think of you as a veteran, and I know it's not your job to help out other players you're competing against, but teenager to teenager, is there one piece of advice you could give Emma Raducanu, knowing how your life blows up after what occurred to you 2 years ago? And is there one thing that you know now about the whole process that you wish you knew back then?
I mean, advice wise, honestly, I don't think she needs any. I mean, she has a slam and I don't. So, if anything, I should be
In terms
asking
of
her.
life, not
Oh, just
tennis, you
life.
know? Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I mean, for me, I don't really like have any advice because I feel like, I mean, I guess dealing with social media, I mean, I would say the best thing I would give her, which I'm sure she's probably heard of it, is just make sure you set time aside from the phone. But other than that, I think that she has a good team around her, and I think that she'll do great. And but yeah, that's honestly the only advice I would say. Just set time away from the phone because it is exciting, when you getting all the retweets and the follows and all of that, but it can be a bit overwhelming sometimes. At least with my experience with it. So I think that, and that's probably what I would have wished I would have known then is not to focus on social media. But I think that, I mean, the advice that I was giving, that's the same advice that I was given. So I just pass that along. It's not my own advice.
Okay, thank you.
All right, next we'll go to Ben Rothenberg.
Coco, good to see you.
Good to see you.
Kind of on a similar note, actually, about social media. I'm curious what you've sort of learned to do in terms of coping with the sort of anger that comes at players after losses, I guess, especially from gamblers who are upset about losing. Sloane posted after her U.S. Open loss about all the sort of nastiness that she gets in those situations. And I know there's different outreach programs and stuff that or different programs happening at Indian Wells regarding this. So I'm curious what you've sort of learned to do and how you sort of process that sort of anonymous hate that I'm guessing you, like everybody else, unfortunately gets on tour from these things.
Yeah, it can get pretty nasty at times. But I feel like for me, I don't know. I feel like that's one of the strong points in me. I don't really take things personally after a loss, and also I don't go on my phone right after a loss, um, and I just block them. But then at the same time, like I just don't have the energy to go through all those people and block. So I could care less if they comment on something on my post. It doesn't affect me, and for me, I just feel like if you just repost, sometimes it just gives them more fuel to um, comment back. And then sometimes, like for me, like I think of it almost as a joke because I don't know. I just feel like I don't really care what they say about me, so I think of it more as a joke. So sometimes people might see me comment back something funny, like just to make them look stupid. But honestly, I don't go on my phone after losses or wins. I might just be a repost, but I never go through the comments or the. And my DMs are actually broken right now. I don't know what's wrong with my DMs, so I don't haven't gotten a DM for months. But the comments, or I might just turn off the comments. But I don't really go on social media after my matches, and I try not to go on it during the tournament, anyways.
What's that something I guess you learned how to handle after you first started losing on matches on tour?
Yeah.
Seeing the reactions that would come. Because imagine it's sort of a rude awakening, I guess, when you first start encountering that.
It was. I will say that I didn't know anything about the betting and anything about that when I first joined on tour. I didn't know the. I wasn't. I guess I wasn't prepared for the amount that you would get after a match because I mean, when celebrities when they do something wrong, it's more like when they do something like actually wrong, not so much losing a tennis match when they get hate. So for me, it's just I will say when I first joined, I didn't wasn't expecting it because I didn't know anything about the social media in Wimbledon. Like everybody was positive, and then obviously as I got more on tour and played more matches, people had more to say. But for me, I think it's the best thing I would say for other players to do is try not to go on your phone because I know social media can be a relaxer sometimes, but for me, the best app when I go on the match is TikTok if I want to get my mind off stuff because no, the betters haven't gotten there yet, but also like TikTok I feel like does a good really great job of filtering their comments and deleting comments automatically that have inappropriate stuff in it. So I think it's also just an app thing too.
All right. Just a reminder, please state your name and your media outlet before your question. Go ahead, Paul.
Hi, Coco. Paul Newman from The Independent. I'm asking players, Coco, about Roger Federer. And speaking to the older players, they've obviously seen him in his prime, seen him winning Grand Slams. I wonder what, for someone like you, I mean, you weren't even born, I think, when Federer won his first Grand Slam title. What do you think his contribution to tennis has been? What does he mean to you?
For me as a player, he's probably one of the most influential players ever to play. We all know he's like the greatest on the court and off the court. We already all know that. But I think the way he just influenced the game with how to act and how to respond to the media and how to handle yourself, it's something that I try to model myself or my, not even, I don't model my game after him because he's obviously a completely different player, but I will say I try to model my attitude and how I handle the schedule and handle press after him. And he is, I mean, for me, he's a great guy. Gotten the chance to speak to him a couple times, and he's always been a great support for me. And I honestly, it's not enough words. I don't think anybody has one bad thing to say about Roger Federer, and I think that he is one of the greatest athletes, players, and people in general. Not forget the tennis, just in general.
Do you remember the first time you spoke to him?
Yes, I was 13 years old, and it was in actually at Wimbledon. I think I was there for junior Wimbledon, and obviously he was probably won that year too. I don't remember. I think I was 13. He probably did win that year, or at least got to the final. But that was the first time I met him.
Thanks.
All right. Next up, Reem, followed by Vani.
Hi, Coco. This is Rima Bullail from The National. Coco, you've obviously experienced success at a very young age, and I'm wondering from your perspective, what was it like seeing two teenagers play the US Open final, and just what did you make of how things unfolded in New York?
Yeah, it was definitely inspiring. I mean, for me, especially since I'm younger than both of them, I think for me it just shows how much a year makes a difference in what I can hopefully do next year. And for me, it was great to see just two competitors who just like love the game. They were both not so much like in the media, big before they started the tournament. Obviously, Layla had more success on the pro tour just because she been played more matches and everything than Emma, but it was great to see how you wouldn't even see that, I guess, when watching the matches. You would think that they've been on the stage for 20 years or 30 years or however long their opponents were playing these tournaments for. So for me, it was great to see that and also give me like a little bit of fire to believe that if they can do it, I can do it too.
If I can have just one more question. It's been a very long season and it's been a bit weird as well still with schedules changing and everything. I'm curious, where's your head at entering Indian Wells, and is it difficult being motivated this late in the season, or how are you feeling?
I will say that for the later in the season, no, because this tournament I feel like just kind of felt more refreshing. Like since I've been on the ground, it feels like almost refreshing to be here. Um, I don't know why. Maybe because there's no bubble, or I don't know, or maybe they say this is tennis paradise, so maybe it's because of that. But I will say that I'm super motivated going into this tournament, and I think if anything, you're more motivated towards the end of the year because you only have but so many tournaments to make your yearly goal or just prove yourself this year. So for me, I'm super motivated going into this tournament, and I hope that I can go all the way to the final.
All right, next up, Vani, followed by Shad.
It's Vanni Gibertini with tennis.com. Hello, Coco. I just wanted to ask you a question. I was wondering what kind of effect it had on you, the outage of half of the social media on Earth yesterday. Did it affect you? You didn't notice? What happened to your day?
I actually didn't notice because on my phone I have a time limit on my phone because I put this on because I felt like I was too much on my phone. So it's from 8:30 a.m. to 9:30 p.m. where I have like limited access to apps on my phone. So I didn't know that there was a social media outage until I was doing a shoot for Head yesterday, and Leah, my agent, she was telling me that WhatsApp, Instagram, and Facebook was all down. And the only thing I did notice is WhatsApp wasn't working right because I don't have any. I use that sometimes, and once somebody messaged me and they're like, "You didn't respond," and I'm like, "Well, I didn't get it till today, so I don't know what you're talking about." But yeah, it didn't affect me too much.
All right, we have time for 2 more questions. Go ahead, Shad, followed by Chris.
Hi, Coco. Shad Pops from the Desert Sun and US Today. If I'm not mistaken, you were set to make your debut here in Indian Wells in 2020. And of course, as we know, the tournament was canceled on the night before it started. What do you remember about that, like the lead up that weekend as you were preparing to play here and then having it get canceled?
Yeah, I remember vividly last year. COVID was just, kind of in the talks. It wasn't taken seriously. I mean, we were just learning about it. And yeah, this was like the big shocker because everybody was here and people were still on the grounds practicing. And it was crazy that that the tournament got canceled, and I flew home actually on my birthday and celebrated my birthday at home, and had a little well, not really celebrate, bought a cake. But it was crazy that day.
Yeah, if
All
I
right.
could follow up.
Sorry, we're running.
Where does Indian? Okay, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, we're running really short on time. Chris, final question, please.
Hey, Coco, it's Chris Otto with Tennis Now. It's been a long and successful season for you. I think 50 matches under your belt and, quarterfinals, Roland Garros title. Just curious, in your opinion, what was maybe the biggest stride you've made in this season so far?
In my opinion, probably the quarterfinal French Open because I felt like that really opened my eyes that I can make it far in these slams, and obviously losing to the eventual champion raised. I mean, it was crushing, yes, but it raised my confidence more. And so I know I'm capable of making the quarterfinals of a slam, and the goal is obviously to win one. So I think I should just pay attention on building on top of that and try to get whatever feeling I was feeling and try to replicate that, and to make it further in the slams. And that's my goal next year is to make it pretty far in the slams. And I mean, obviously the ultimate goal is to win one.
All right, thank you, everyone. Thank you for your time, Coco.
Thank you.
Layla will be